Hello and welcome to another webcast by Select Secure Solutions. This is the end of the month of February, the 28th. And there was a news report, another incident with LastPass. And so that really brought up this question that we're going to be talking about. Should business owners help secure employees' homes, computers, and network? We're going to talk a little bit about this because every business has to deal with something. Every person, we all have to deal with authentication. We have to deal with passwords, and we know how much you love passwords. And we don't like them. They're hard to remember. We have so many of them, but at this point, it's necessary. There's certainly some efforts going to passwordless. There's FIDO keys. There's pass keys. There's so many different technologies, but until collectively we are able to implement them, passwords is what we have to deal with most businesses. And the statistics really show why this is of vital importance, because threat actors are going after them. Two-thirds of breaches involve phishing, stolen credentials. 82% involve the human element. This is from the Verizon data breach report. And so we really need to see what we can do individually, because it's not just about business owners. This is about you. This is about me, and the impact that authentication, credentials, passwords have on us. And so think about this next question. Think about where most of your business applications are located, or even your personal applications. For most people, they're in the cloud. What does that mean? What's the risk? Well, accessibility, if it's in the cloud, we can get to it anytime we want, wherever we want. And many times it makes us more productive. We're able to do things when we want, and we don't have to be confined with installing an application, updating that application. And so many businesses moving to the cloud. Many are moving to the cloud for retail shopping, everything. Something interesting happened to a solopreneur. Now, it didn't happen to their business side, but to their personal. Now this particular person helps out some that are handicapped and so on, but a threat actor doesn't necessarily know that. What they did find out was that the credentials, maybe they found on the dark web, whatever the case was, they found credentials to this user's retail store. Retail stores in which you can buy just about anything you want. You can buy groceries, you can buy furniture, bikes, all sorts of things. Perhaps you may even know what I'm talking about. But there's a few of them out there like that. Now, they went and made three separate orders rather, logged into this personal account and made an order, bought a bed, bought pet food for bird and dog. That order was picked up in another state out there in the Midwest. Two other orders were identified and canceled. Now this particular person was in Texas, and out there in the Midwest, order was picked up at this retail store because they were able to log in with a username and password from the personal. They didn't want much. But think about the impact. If there wasn't two-factor authentication, there wasn't a notification that went out, would anyone even know that they were in there until you noticed the charges, perhaps that those charges were notified for you? That's the risk that exists there. And thus it brings up what's been out in the news, which is LastPass. We know last year they brought out a notice of this recent security event. They had an updates as of December, which had continued on from what they learned back in September. So we can see August and September. Now they were mentioning some things that they previously disclosed in August, and they assured us that no customer data was accessed during the August 2022 incident, but there was some source code and technical information that were stolen from the development environment, and they let us know that they were separate environments from the production one. Now, just disclosure, we don't use LastPass, personal life or business. That's not what we offer for our clients or partners either. But this is something that's interesting because they did target a password manager. And many of us are using password managers because we have so many credentials that we need to take care of. Remembering all of them, it's definitely safer to utilize that. But LastPass had a security incident. And so what did we learn? Well, they let us know that it remained secured, encrypted. It can only be decrypted with a unique decryption key derived from each user's master password. So they were told that they were able to copy a backup of the customer vault, but they don't know the master password, and it's not stored or maintained by LastPass. None of that. Now, here's what was interesting. They said because of the hashing and encryption methods they use to protect their customers, it would be extremely difficult to brute force master passwords. And so that certainly gives some comfort for many that have been using LastPass and were affected. And they said they even routinely test the latest password cracking technologies. And then they said something as well, how long it would even take. It says, if you use the default settings, 12-character passwords minimum. And then with the typical iteration, it said it would take millions of years to brute force and guess the password. Now, we know not everyone does that. And here's a little something that was said, how quickly hackers can crack your password in 2022. 12-character password, if it was just numbers only, let me see, 2 seconds. Lowercase letters, 2 days. But now we can see it starts to change, right? 24 years if you were using uppercase and lowercase letters, 200 years, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, and 3,000 years, number, uppercase, lowercase, letter, symbols, and so on. We can begin to see why the length of a password is so important. But we're going to go back to something here. You see, because information was taken. Now, they were able to find out from within what these threat actors had taken. They were able to get information about their customers. This was their email addresses, their company name, and so on, phone numbers, all these different things. And they said threat actor may target you with phishing attacks, credential stuffing, or other brute force attacks against online accounts associated with your LastPass vault. So they would be able to figure out where you were using these passwords, these credentials, and they have information about you. Now they can target you with phishing attacks in order to be able to get that information from you. So really, it said, beware of the human element, social engineering, phishing attacks. But think of this: if you were using your password manager also for your personal, would your personal accounts have the same security as the business environment? Likely not. And that's where we get to what is coming up in incident number 2. Now, notice here. Now, this is from LastPass, incident 2 that's posted on their support page. And they bring up this first incident summary. They said LastPass credentials were stolen during the first attack that were stolen were encrypted. Threat actor did not have access to the decryption keys. So there wasn't any way they could do that. So what did they do? It says, due to the security controls protecting and securing the on-premise data center installations of LastPass production, threat actor targeted the people. One of the 4 DevOps engineers who had access to the decryption keys. So now they had enough information to begin targeting an attack. According to this news incident update, it says they targeted the DevOps engineer's home computer. They went home. They went to their home computer, and likely it was that through their personal email. Was this DevOps accustomed to working from home as well on their home computer, accessing company information, email, and so on? We don't know. Likely, it could have been through their personal. I don't know. But either way, they had a way to target. And maybe they clicked on something that was in the home email, their personal one, while they're on their home computer. Could have been the company. It's possible. And we'll see why that's possible as we look at something else that was stated later. But notice this, it says they exploited a vulnerable third-party media software package. So there were some pending updates on a particular application that they were able to find. So evidently they had been sitting there for a bit and were able to go through, find some vulnerabilities, target them. It says now that gave them remote code execution capability. Now with this perhaps system rights, now they were able to implant keylogger malware. And so now they just had to wait. They waited until the threat actor logged in to their LastPass password manager, captured the master password as it was entered. After the employee authenticated with multi-factor authentication, now they gained access to the DevOps engineer's LastPass corporate vault. So no doubt they had probably a long, secure master password that was unique, but really, because of a vulnerability in the home computer within a software application, that left them open to remote code execution. Keylogger with a keylogger, everything's out in the open, nothing secure. They were able to get what they needed and pass on that information, and how they had access to just what they needed. They needed the decryption keys. Well, now they had access and decryption keys needed. Well, what would they do? Well, they had the keys to the kingdom. So that brings up a question then. Really, is there a responsibility for the home networks of your employees if they're going to be working from home? Because they perhaps are more productive in their environment. They're able to do much, things come up. You're not missing out. But if the corporate environment can be vulnerable because of mistakes, because of phishing, because of social engineering, what happens when you're at home? When perhaps they may not be quite as alert. And maybe there's multitasking between home and personal, maybe even on the same computer. Maybe they're working on the personal computer instead of the separate work one that has enabled security. Whatever the case, there's something interesting that came up here. Now, as we notice through here, it says that they have planned the following actions and additional work currently being accomplished in scoping and planning. So with the forensics and so on, notice what they did. It says we assisted the DevOps engineer with hardening the security of their home network and personal resources. Now, so that's interesting. Was it in their best interest to make sure that this DevOps engineer, those that have elevated access to things, that their home environment, personal resources were secure? Because they invested the time to do that. So that comes down to your employees. Do you have some employees that perhaps have some elevated access like this DevOps engineer? Could it be in your best interest to make sure that their home network and personal resources are hardened, more secure? Would that be in the best interest of your company? Could you even provide some licensing, security for those home devices? That's something up for debate, something to think about. Certainly like to hear your thoughts. Then they did some other things within their Microsoft account with their conditional access. Now we turn this on in all of our partner environments. I think we're pinning a couple. This was even before general availability, where we turned on the pin matching multi-factor authentication, which also showed not only the PIN number, but the application being accessed and the location. Why? Well, we didn't want anyone just to approve something. One, they needed to look and read what application is it from, where's the authentication source coming from, and should they enter that number. So if you don't have that entered in, set up on your accounts, something that's Microsoft's going to make that as a default on all here. And then something else they did, they rotated high privilege credentials that were known. So additional logging and things. So they really they made some adjustments. And as we can see here, they as they rotated, they had some additional things that they were able to do. It says they revised their 24/7 threat detection and response coverage with additional managed and automated services. So certainly according to your threat profile, what is the threat profile of your business? Is it equal to what your risk is, or even more? So we can see much happen there with LastPass, and unfortunately, they're still dealing with this. And isn't that the case at times because of threat actors? They taking advantage of the human aspect of people, even going into their home environment, personal devices, in order to get to the corporate things. You see, we can't think that we really know what a threat actor might do, how far they will go. But when we look at protecting our businesses, protecting our employees, if we can help our employees to become more secure in their personal life, then won't they do the same in their work environment? So let's just think about some of these authentication risks, because we certainly want to lessen them. And just some lessons learned. One, have passwords that are unique, long, memorable. Even using passphrases, use a password manager if need be. Implement 2FA, multi-factor authentication, but have the same password hygiene in your personal life as well. Because just as we learned in LastPass, they will come after. If you're a target, they're going to take it to the house. So might you also need to secure your home network and computer? You know, many employees are logging in. They access their personal email and accounts on work devices within their Outlook and other mail applications. What if something comes in that is malicious that they click on? Will it bypass your endpoint security defenses? We know it won't get flagged by your phishing because you're not monitoring their personal email. And so might there be a policy set? You know, or are they able to access those things? If so, is it just in the browser? Are they able to use the applications? Either way, you have to lessen those risks for you. Make sure that you're able to be equal to the risk when it comes to securing your business. And if you do so, well, you certainly won't have the same issues that LastPass is having. And more than likely, because we're small businesses, we won't be in the news either. But would we be going through something similar if our credentials were compromised? What impact would it have on our employees, on our business partners, on the supply chain, on our clients, our customers, our partners? And so do what you can to lessen authentication risks. Train your employees. Will that mean helping to secure their home environment? Well, that's debatable. That's up to you. But certainly training them. Well, stay secure. Till the next time, this is Chris with Select Secure Solutions. We'll talk to you soon.